Good morning, everyone. Happy to see you all from all over I would say the region today. We have a large number of registrants from the UAE, from other countries in the region. So happy to see you all today and happy to see many familiar faces that we're always, all the time, see in our workshops. Good morning, Nihal. Good morning, everyone. I would like to invite you to put in the chat box, where are you joining us from? While waiting for everyone to join, I'm trying to admit everyone at a time. Today we have a very nice topic, actually, and it's a topic that I believe it is very close to my heart. And I really am happy to host today three gorgeous ladies today with us to talk about not only to bring diversity to our companies and organizations, but also to work on really integrate this inclusion atmosphere and inclusivity. Thank you so much, Hafsa. We're gonna get to know everyone's later on together. So if you can kindly please move to the second slide. I have a couple of information to announce about. And let me first see as well, we're having people coming from Fujairah, Dubai, Jordan. Nice, Abu Dhabi, Jordan as well. Good morning, everyone. Sharjah. Jordan, we have a lot of fans from Jordan. Thank you. Lebanon. Yes. Again. So without further ado, I'm just gonna start the session. Today, we are many on the screen. You're gonna see us like we are four together, and happy to host those beautiful ladies. We're gonna know more about them in a bit. Hafsa, Saira, and Viba. And as you can see, Viba is also working on having sign language for just to ensure that everyone is included. Hafsa, next slide, please. I'm so excited to tell you now that many of you have registered to the directory, Women-Owned Business Directory, and it is now online. Please, if you have your mobile phone, you can scan the QR code and it will take you to this directory that UN Women and NEMA initiative has really worked on to make a linkage opportunity for those women with corporate and government and even with other women entrepreneurs. Within this platform, also you can get to register if you haven't registered now. Whatever it's needed, it's just to have a license in the UAE as well as ownership of this 51% of ownership of the company. Next slide, Hafsa, please. Also, it happens to be the COP27 climate today event and climate and conference climate change, I would say. And around the world, we know that women and girls are the most hit and hardly hit by any climate change that happens around us. And they are the most to bring valuable insights to change into energy and to make it more sustainable. Today, we're trying to support this global campaign that Masdar is working on to support women in sustainability, and especially those women who are really at the forefront always to do any initiatives and being innovative in that field. I'm gonna post in the link in the chat box the link to this part of taking pledge. So you have, if you would like to take the pledge and take the challenge to support those women by putting your details and saying how we're gonna support any woman in the world. Again, this session is recorded, so we're gonna have the recording later distributed to everyone. And as you know, that this is part of our capacity building program that UN Women and NEMA FPI program is providing. Please make sure that this is a platform to share knowledge and best practices and also be interactive in it, just by showing maybe sometimes posting online and tagging us on those social platform, and not to make it more commercial purpose, just for commercial purposes. Thank you for your understanding. So before we start with Hafsa, I would like to know better about our audience and to see how knowledgeable you are about talent management and inclusivity. And if you are thinking to hire someone soon, hire any talent in your team. So the poll is starting now. I want you all to reply, because this is how we help Hafsa to really, channel the presentation today, as well as Saira. So I'll give it one more, maybe minute, and it's good to see that we have kind of knowledgeable audience, because the majority, or 50%, they have average knowledge, and we're happy to see that they have the basic of talent management, and hopefully by the end of the session, we will be having all a very good knowledge about the topic. 52% are willing to invest in the talent, and that's great. Excellent. Now I'll hand over to Hafsa.
Thank you so much, Mara. Thank you for starting the session. Very exciting to see a very engaging viewership and participants with us today. So I'll start with introducing ourselves a little bit. I think the results need to be shared before I go to the next screen, yes? So I'll go ahead and share the results. Oh, oops, sorry. Yeah, there we go. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself and what I do. My name is Hafsa Qadeer. I am the CEO and founder at I'm Inclusive, which is MENA's leading HR tech and the UAE's first social certified platform for inclusively hiring. So what we do is we essentially work on recruiting people of determination, and we train all of the employers on how to build teams that are inclusive of people of determination. Now, you might not have heard the term people of determination, because at the end of the day, what really matters is the intention that we're saying it with. And as long as we're saying it with the intention to include, but in the UAE, the term that we use is people of determination for people with disabilities. I will move next to Saira for her to introduce herself.
Good morning, everyone. As you can see on my screen, there is a very huge photo of me, but my name is Saira, and I lead the opportunities for people of determination at I'm Inclusive. I am a very proud person. I live with a physical disability and I use a wheelchair. I've lived with unemployment for a very long period of time. I met the founder Hafsa in 2019, and I started as a volunteer at I'm Inclusive. I am the director for opportunities today, and it's a privilege for me to work at I'm Inclusive, to work with employers who want to make an impact on people with disabilities around them, and to include them and integrate them in workplaces and providing them empowering support, which is financial independence. I'm really looking forward to interacting with all of you today.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Saira. Really inspiring. We're going to see a lot of your contribution at the very end of the presentation, and we're happy to have you here today.
Thank you.
And next we have with us Vibha. Vibha, do you want to introduce yourself?
Briefly, yes. Good morning, everyone. My name is Vibha, and today I'm here to support the deaf community. I will be interpreting or saying whatever content in sign language. I'll be using American Sign Language. And just a caution, as hearing people, we tend to talk more, but for the deaf people, it has to be little information. So if you don't see me signing, don't worry. I have already interpreted what needs to be done. Looking forward to today's workshop. Thank you.
Thank you, Vibha. Vibha is an interpreter who started working with us in 2020. When we started, there was no real common ASL live interpretation in the UAE. But very soon we started taking Vibha to live interpretations with us, and it's been a long journey since. So I'll head straight into the topic now. What we'll be covering today is generically about talent and leadership, where to find the talent for your teams, deep diving into what is the evolving expectation of the traditional term of human resources, how we can establish a great team. And as business owners, as SMEs, is it too early for us to be inclusive, to think of hiring people with disabilities, or to think about increasing the inclusion in our cultures? And then we'll go into what is the talent expecting from you as a business owner. So I'll be taking the first half of this session, which is talking about talent and sharing with you a few case studies from our own experiences. And then Saira will be guiding you on inclusion in general and inclusion of people of determination in the last half of the session as well. So we have another poll, which will come up on the screen.
Yes, thank you so much, Hafsa. If you please tell them more about it.
So we want to know, what are the competencies or the skills that your team is most urgently looking for right now? So do you need to make sales and you need to hit a target by the end of this year? So you're really looking for someone to come on board and support you with that. Or do you need to really boost your social media efforts because you're doing great work and you're not putting the word out there? Or do you have technology like we do and you're looking for in-house talent to come and develop your apps? So what is the one criteria of the talent that you find you really, really need to onboard at the moment? I would highly recommend for everyone to have some kind of a notepad next to you and start writing these down, because by the end of doing these polls, you'll have a really good reflection exercise on your current talent landscape within your own organization. All the polls that we've built with the Human Women team, the NAMA Women team here, are to make sure that by the end of this, you walk away with clarity on exactly what it is that you need to do to get the right talent on board. So I hope you have your notepad and your pens next to you. But yeah, I can see lots of good answers coming into this. I am working from home. Please expect normal noises. Okay. So I can see lots of people saying marketing and communications, and I think that would make a lot of sense given the different kinds of needs that marketing has. So I'll close this poll now. Okay. So now that we've discussed the kind of skills that everybody is really looking for today, I'm going to go into what is talent and leadership today really. So as you know, everybody has a lot of evolving expectations from talent. Why is this happening? This is happening because as a collective community, we've lived through a pandemic. And it might be something that we are still absorbing in our organizations, but the kind of world that we've built our businesses in is very different post-pandemic than it was pre-pandemic. The talent of today has evolved expectations. We saw offices declare full work from home schedules. We saw people require more time with family during this time. And when COVID ended, and just now we had our restrictions in the UAE completely lift up for like the apps that you need to use to enter places, etc. We understood that the people have inherently connected more with their families, or they have changed somewhere. So their expectations from their leadership have changed. Leadership is required to be extremely raw and honest in today's world. We see in the movies, the boss walks in and they look really cool and they're like, I need to have this kind of hold over my team. But essentially, when you start communicating with leaders that are human, and you start working through your own team and start understanding the kind of team that you're building, you start to realize that you don't want to just parade around as a leader in a mask. Right? You want your team to feel like you're displaying leadership. And that, to me, in my experience, has been the most raw and honest form of building a team. You have to be 100% human with your team for things to actually work. And especially in small businesses, when you're building a talent, when you're persuading talent to go and bring your vision to life as a business owner, it all starts with you. So some of the things that I want to highlight today are, it's not just because of what we're feeling as people. The governments are taking notice around the world, right? So you must see that the labor laws are changing. I mean, did anyone expect the kind of visa regimes and the kind of working hours that the UAE has introduced in the last year? 4-day working weeks for the government sector was a very big change. There are such huge changes coming. So how can we expect the talent to have the same kind of expectations? We can't. So when we're building our businesses, we have to go back and think, okay, the world is changing. Am I changing at its pace? So I'll go next to this comic that I brought on. I did not create this, so credits to whoever did. But if you notice it, the point of sharing this with you is much like, you know, a person in school going to the school nurse and going like, oh, I have a physical illness, versus I'm facing some kind of mental health challenges. Today, when people in talent walk up to their HR, they expect to be understood that we're all carrying this invisible baggage of what we've lived through with the pandemic, the kind of stress that we've lived through, the kind of like how our work impacts our relationships, social media, notifications, all of these things are very much a part of us as people. People expect the talent management teams and the people leadership teams to understand this and to understand that their mental wellness is priority in the workspace. So I'll share with you a case study of how we started building our talent pool from scratch. This is a photo of Saira training the entire team at MENA Abu Dhabi on the inclusion of people of determination. Like Saira rightly said, when we met in 2019, it was at an expo, and I met Saira because I was basically putting up a stall for my product the first time ever. And Saira had messaged me and said, I'm going to come and see you. And Saira was the first person that I officially onboarded. I started this journey because I'm a very proud sibling of a person of determination. So he would remain team member number one. And then Saira also, when she met me, I was like, Saira, why are you not working? And Saira shared with me that it is because one of her employers had refused to offer her an accessible toilet in the workplace. It became very clear to me that when I was building a platform to employ people of determination, the kind of talent that I was looking for to walk the talk are people of determination. But I started to understand that skill set doesn't even exist. Where was I going to find people of determination who have some HR knowledge, who have a passion for impact, who understand sustainable impact for corporates, who can train employers? Was I ever going to find this mix of a degree everywhere? If I had sat down with a checklist of all the things I wanted to see in a person, I would have never gotten there. I understood that, first of all, the only thing that will set apart what I do from anybody else, because anybody can come up and say, oh, I'm doing the same thing, right? But the only thing that sets you apart in your business is your execution. Who executes the business? Are people, right? So I had to build this talent pool from scratch. We started with hiring Saira, then more and more people of determination joined our team. I'm very, very happy to share with you today, my brother reports directly to Saira. So he works at I'm Inclusive too, and he reports. We've created an entire ecosystem of talented, skilled people of determination working on this. My biggest success through this journey, and as cheesy as it sounds, it was when Saira completed her executive education with Cambridge University in diversity and inclusion leadership last year. And for us, it was such a huge milestone as a team, because with all the work that we were doing, I could see that my team now has the competencies, the loyalty, the vision, the understanding of how to communicate with the HR, everything that is required for us to now have a talent pool that nobody in the UAE has. So when we're hiring people, are we hiring them on the basis of their passion? Are we hiring them on the basis of their coachability? Are we hiring them understanding that, okay, this person is as authentic as I want my culture to be, this will work. My relationship with this person will work over the next years. Or are we hiring them because we want them to have a master's from Yale and we want them to have 10 years of experience as a fresh graduate? I mean, those are not requirements that are just realistic anymore. So if you would have seen me and Saira sitting together and, talking about how to use Grammarly to write the emails, all the way to Saira now leading these things on her own, leading me in so many ways. I ask her for advice all the time. It is a huge journey, and it is a journey of every person. So we're now 8 members on our team, and 50% of our team are people of determination. So if you think about how many people we've worked with one-on-one, it is the benefit that we offer to our teams for them to trust us. So I would like to ask you, what is the biggest benefit of working with you for any talent? We talk about choosing talent. Why should talent choose you?
Thank you so much, Hafsa. Indeed, actually, we are always in run to just recruit talent because they master something, a skill, or they know a lot about their job. What's important to look at their inner and to see if they have the passion toward and have the attitudes. And that's based on this, we can really develop the skill that we need to have them in. And this is really, sometimes we've seen in few companies who recruit people with zero, I would say, zero knowledge on a topic, and then they become the top performer. We need always to give them chance to perform, and even though they don't have the experience. Now, in the poll, we're asking, from your perspective, how do you see the biggest benefit for people to be joining your organization? And we've seen, like, I want you more to, we have like 48% who responded so far. I want to make sure that everyone got the opportunity to respond on this poll. So you, as an employer, do you see that one of the biggest benefit for them to be joining is hybrid work models, advanced training, networking and exposure, strengths in your team culture, or if others, as I've seen, like other people are doing others. So please write them in the chat box. I want to know more about what others you bring, other options, or maybe factors you bring to your team. So who wrote others? Please share with us on the chat box. What kind of others credential or maybe benefits you're providing to your team? It is Thursday morning and still having one day to go to the weekend. Please be cheerful. I want you to be interactive on the chat box. Yes, bringing creativity. That's nice, Asma. Yes, this is nice. What else you can bring to your team? So if I'm ending the poll now, I see, Hafsa, that we have 26%. It's scattered, just like distributed all over the benefits. We see 14% they're open to have hybrid work models. 36% they are having strength in their team culture, which is very nice. 26% they think they can bring networking and exposure. 7% only they think that they can work and provide advanced training. One of the participants said working together towards a meaningful cause. This is very important as well. It's built this team culture, learning and compassion. Nice. Passion and commitment to give 100%. Irrespective of degree or skill set. So this passion can be a good driver and a first driver in the organization, especially when we're talking about SMEs. So developing environment with lots of opportunities to be heard and have impact. Amazing, keep it going, and I will stop sharing the results and ask maybe Hafsa, just because we're cautious to be of time, to be moving forward, and I'm gonna take all your comments as well as questions in the chat box.
Thank you so much, Maya. So if we ask about where is this talent, right? You've identified what is the talent that you most urgently need. You have identified what is the biggest benefit that you offer to talent. And now let's think about, where is this talent? Is the talent sitting on a beach while wearing pajamas and pretending to be at work? Maybe. Some of them for sure, but most importantly, to figure out where the talent is, it's really important to know what is the kind of talent that I can bring on board. So there are different models of the talent available these days. People are working in many, many different ways, especially as women who are juggling so many things at home as well. We can prefer and have lots of flexibility in the work we do today, and thankfully employers do offer that. So let's start with thinking a little bit and reflecting on, am I willing to hire people part-time? Am I willing to only hire full-time and I need them to be in the office? Am I going to be offering work from home? Am I going to be allowing hybrid workplaces? So you can say you have to come to the office 2 times a week and the rest of it you work from the site, you work physically on site. Am I willing to bring people on freelance? Freelance meaning I give them just contractual work and I have regular freelancers who come with me. We've built a really good relationship together and we have them come in and work with us whenever it's needed. Do I want to set up contractual milestones for people? So if you've used websites like Upwork, for example, you can hire people and pay them by the milestone. So identify what is your model of hiring before you start searching for the talent. This identifies as the first stage of hiring, which is planning the job description. It's a very important part of bringing on board the right talent, because when you have planned better, you know exactly what you're going for in terms of the kind of offerings you have for people. So I'll tell you where the talent is usually, because we build such a strong pool. All of the people of determination talent across the UAE, we bring them together under our own digital hub. And we will tell you very transparently who are the different parties and stakeholders that we engage with to build this talent pipeline, and you can do the same directly as well. So number one is academic institutions. Institutions can look like universities where you have fresh graduates who have internship requirements. This is becoming very evident for a lot of universities where they require their students to do some internship for a minimum of 6 weeks or 2 months to go ahead. And a lot of the young students these days bring natural social media skills. You and I might not have grown up with tablets and screens, but the younger audience has. So make use of that, look towards the academic institutions. Then you've got disability inclusion organizations like ourselves or your special needs centers, who you can go to and you can say, okay, I want to hire for this skill set and I'm open to hiring people with disabilities. Because as long as we're hiring for skill and passion, it doesn't matter what the person's background specifically is, but this is our strong belief. And if you do have a different opinion on that, that's absolutely fine. But I would highly encourage you to think about it and reflect on it, that, okay, am I really willing to open doors for people of determination in my teams? Community referrals, you can ask around, like you can ask in the UN Women team. I'm sure you've made lots of connections. You can ask around. You can check through different job boards. We all know there are so many job boards these days, Gulf Talent, all of these that you can use. You can connect with youth groups. You can identify what are the different groups that are working on activities like sustainability initiatives within your communities. For example, I'm part of a very good community called the Global Shapers. It's directly under the World Economic Forum, and we find really good youth working on activities heavily. You'll find lots of UN, World Economic Forum, different groups where you can actually go and talk to them. So these are the different places where you can bring in the talent from. I really hope this is helpful and that it'll help you in your search as well. Let's identify where you've tried hiring talent before from. So you'll have a poll come up on the screen now, and we'd love to know if you've tried hiring talent from any of these means before.
Hafsa, I have a question coming from the chat. They were asking when we are a micro enterprise, how we can afford to hiring people of determination talent, and does it reflect on our costing in terms of we're looking to have full operation and how it's going. So do you have any advice to do when it comes to small enterprise to invest in talent of people of determination?
I do know that this is a dedicated slide we have for Saira coming up, but I can share with you in a quick answer now before Saira details this further, that the people of determination talent are as flexible as any other talent that is available in the market today or looking for jobs. If my priority as a person is that I need to make income and bring in salary for my home, which is why any talent starts to look for a job, right? So if we look at that, any person of determination also that you're going to look for, I would encourage you to look at them as just people and talent and think that they will also accept the different options that you offer them. There are people willing to do jobs on site, physically, fully operational. That's completely fine with them. There are people who might come to you and say, I want to do 2 days from my home, the rest from the office. That's a conversation you need to have between the talent and yourself. But first and foremost, you would need to put together a job description that openly welcomes people of determination to apply, and then take it from there.
Excellent, Hafsa. Thank you so much. We're seeing that people actually hire, especially those SMEs hiring talent from job sites, mainly, and from social media. We have a few of them who are having from families and friends, as well as getting from referrals. For those who are writing down others, I'm curious to know, where are you getting those talents from? If you can share with us in the chat box, that would be helpful maybe for others as ways of our resources to get talents from. So, anyone would like to share with us what others resources or channels you're getting your incidental meeting? That's nice also, because sometimes like being open to everyone, even we cross them in a meeting, that's very thoughtful. We hire from every potential resource, all what was mentioned in the poll, in addition to any other potential that we can get. Also dealing with Zayed High Association. Great. I think maybe we can end the poll now, Hafsa, what do you think? And share the results with everyone.
Really good results. Good to see everybody trying. I think it's always good to have a bit of mix of everything, make our best efforts. And it's good to see people are using social media and job sites. It's so interesting that we use social media so normally. We do that ourselves as well. You know, it's amazing the response that you get. Beautiful. Okay. Great. So we'll move to our next slide. Thank you, Maya. I think you're really keeping the conversation going, which is really important for me as well. So I will tell you a little bit about the evolved expectation of human resources. Now, why do we think that the term human resources is not as welcome anymore? It's the same reason that we don't use this kind of a phone anymore. It's kind of started to become extinct because people don't want to be treated as just resources. It's no longer about, I want you to clock in, clock out. I want you to do X, Y, Z, and I want you to leave. That kind of talent management is a way that is just not expected anymore for the many reasons that I have highlighted from the start of the presentation. But let's look into what is the function of teams that are now known as talent, people leadership, people and culture teams, teams management. So what is the essential role of that function? That function is responsible for finding, screening, recruiting, training the candidates, as well as creating benefit and reward programs, and developing the competencies that are required for the organization to perform. Now, this part is really important because when we create our strategy of hiring, sometimes we start with thinking, okay, I'll plan the job, I'll hire the people, and then it stops. We have to think about how are we developing our people, because it's human nature. And as you would know, I've studied this a lot to be able to understand what is the human psychology behind hiring people, people of determination. How do we keep people motivated? The most important thing that a person requires is to evolve in their workplace. People need to feel like they're growing. People need to feel like they're learning. Or if they're just doing a task-based job, they need to have very managed expectations. That, okay, you can work here for 3 years, you're most likely not going to get a promotion, but your scope might expand. So people are looking for clarity from their employers most of the time. If I'm joining your organization, what is your roadmap for me? What does it look like for me 3 years down the line? Okay, 2 years down the line. People don't necessarily retain or stay on board when they're not given development opportunities. So this is something that I really wanted to highlight, that first of all, I do encourage for us to, of course, treat people beyond resources, right? That's exactly what we stand for. But also, don't just stop at the planning job description, posted it on a social media site, hired a person, and the job is done. It's not stopping there. There is a retention strategy that you need to have. At the end of the day, when you're hiring talent and you're investing in them, and you're investing in the person, you're investing in your own culture, there will be a return of this investment. If we want to put our business hat on and think about what does my investment today look like, the investment is not just what you're raising from the VC, right? For some of us more on the spiritual side, we know that every energy ounce we invest in our business has a return. But when I look towards the talent side, if I am investing in my talent's learning, if I'm investing in my talent's growth, I'm investing in my business's growth. At the end of the day, even if somebody leaves your company, they should be able to say, I grew there. I learned there. I learned how to be more inclusive with this firm. People will always remember leaders for their leadership. And you have that opportunity as a business owner and an entrepreneur to create the team that you always wanted. A lot of us know that in many teams, we don't always have the best experiences. It's very common because of the different kind of people that we meet. But with your own organization, you have the opportunity to create the most healthy culture ever. So why not do that, right? So I'll ask you, do you agree that the term human resources actually treats people as resources only?
We've seen a lot of this. Yeah, we've seen a lot of not only large organization, but also small and micro organization just using the word people more and more often than human resources. So just to make it to reflect on really on this identity that we want to create within the organization, that we're not looking them at the resources, but more as I would say main asset and the differentiator in the organization. So 41%, they see that really the term human resources is limiting, treating humans only at resources only, and not looking beyond that. That's true, Emmanuel. Companies should be nurturing for all talent, including inclusive talents. For those who will think about it, I'm also curious to know, do you feel it now? It's like this is the normal thing to be called as human resources, or based on really thinking about SDGs and sustainability and 2030 visions, do we have more importance to be given to our people as talent more than giving them like the right to be resources in our organization? It's good to reflect, Hafsa, right? I love your post, because even though we're just like, it's not about getting more information, it's not to push our audience to think more about our strategies in recruiting and hiring and retaining our talents.
Thank you, Maya. That was the goal, because when we talk about talent management, most times we end up talking about the talent, whereas the talent stems from the kind of reflection of me that I want to put in my team, or the kind of culture that I want to create. So we wanted to bring this a bit to the table today of what are we doing to retain, train, bring on our talent. And I love the answer maybe, because maybe means you really started to think about it. Maybe means, I don't know yet, but yeah, that might kind of make sense, you know, or maybe it doesn't. But I think this is great that we're doing this reflection together, and I'm going to move to the next slide now. Okay, so this is going to be my last slide before I pass this on to Saira. But essentially, how do you establish a great team? A great team starts with you. As an entrepreneur, as a leader, if I ask you to think of maybe you did some odd job before you started this, maybe you had a beautiful career before you, dived from the corporate world to entrepreneurship, the teams that you used to work with, were they the kind of teams you were willing to go and sit with every day and think, I have clarity here. I can be peaceful at my work. I'm not dealing with any kind of microaggressions, and I can go to work and I can feel like today I'm here to give my 100%. And all the other things that are unnecessary to the business or to a person, which is the passive aggressive comments, etc., those are not there in my workplace. So if you did not have a team experience like that before, now is your opportunity to create that experience for somebody else. It doesn't matter if it's an intern, a full-time person, a freelancer, your team culture will become very evident to everyone when you treat them with trust and respect. When you give trust and respect, you receive it back. In any case, God forbid, if that situation doesn't happen, that you don't get the same trust and respect back, you will as a person never have anything to lose. Our job as leaders is to give 100% of our best leadership. And from there, the talent that we're looking for will come to us as well. We will end up essentially creating systems where people who are the right fit will only come, and they will be the one that you will retain. So communicate openly, communicate with clarity, see what's happening across the world. You know what happened recently with one of the biggest social media platforms, where hundreds of people were just laid off. And it wasn't more about why the people were getting laid off. It was about how the people were getting laid off without notice, right? So those are the kind of things that we can learn from what's going on so fast today in the world. We're in a world where we can create our own leadership styles. I hope you will continue to motivate your team with positivity. One of the things that we do a lot, and also thanks to Saira because she brought it up to me in the first year, we used to do a lot of milestones and we were not celebrating them enough. So as a small business, that's very important. Everything I do can be a celebration because of how big a deal it is in the first 3 to 5 years of you starting the business. So we started celebrating things a lot, and within our team, at least, we have a culture of giving gifts to each other, which are very cute and very thoughtful. And we do this all the time to make sure that the team that we have, we feel like every day as people, we come together, we sit together, we put our really good thinking hats on, we put our strategies on, we put our execution together, and we're achieving this together. So there is a quote that I absolutely love, and not everybody has to agree with it, but it says, train your team so well that they don't know who's the boss. Because it doesn't matter today. It doesn't matter that you have a title on you. It matters that your team reflects your leadership. So I hope you'll continue to celebrate the good work, continue doing the good work that you do, and I'll pass this on to Saira next to take it from here.
Thank you, Hafsa. Thank you so much. We have a poll before we go into my slides.
Yes, we do. This is actually based on Harvard Business Review as well on leadership styles. So I wanted you to do a very quick reflection on what is one thing from these 4 options that you can do to become a better leader. And be very honest with yourself, what is one of these things that you could do to make a better team from your own end?
I hope that the poll is visible to everyone. I had challenge in launching it at the beginning, but I see like people are now replying. So whether you want to be more authentic, communicate better and more clearly in a clear way and honestly, if you'd like to drop the idea of perfect, this is important, Hafsa, just to drop the idea of being perfectionist in a team, because we need to manage our expectations and be really down to earth when it comes to managing different people with different circumstances in their life. Start connecting with my team more. And I believe like today, the idea of celebrating the, every occasion, and especially small celebrations would be like nice to have it on board, because this is how we create also kind of compassion and, a spirit within the organization. I look forward to have 100% who reply. So please, I'll give you one more minute. I want you all to reply, to reflect on this, to think about which one you want to be known as a leader in.
For me, it was the drop the idea of perfectionism as well. This was the one thing I struggled with the most in my journey, because when I was hiring even people of determination, I wanted to make sure all of us are performing at this optimal level in the start, whatever that looked like for me, but I wanted us to be excellent. And I forgot that excellent has so many different definitions for everyone. And then when I started creating breathing room and I started understanding that, oh, you know what, we all fall down, we get up the next day, it's fine. Everybody started being so much more natural and just bringing their own selves. And that just really changed the way that our teams work. So I'm being authentic with you. Go ahead and share your response. Be authentic with us as well.
And also, you feel like two options are really related to ourselves, that being more authentic, it's internally decision, it's an internal decision, and to drop the idea of perfectionism as well. And the second ones are communication and not connecting with the team. So it's having this bipolar, I would say, decision within internally and externally with the team is very important to have as a leader's image in the organization. Excellent. I'm going to end the poll. We're having 44% who decided or are looking to communicate better, clearly, and more honest, in an honest way. I have 27% who want to drop this idea of perfectionism in the team. 20% want to start connecting with the team more, and 10% they feel like they need to be more authentic to their values and purposes within the organizations. Thank you so much, Hafsa. We really are leaving this room today. By today, we're having a lot of reflections and questions to be asked to ourselves whenever we are recruiting any of our future talent, and we'll have all this package with us. Thank you. And now over to Saira.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So on the screen, it says, is it too early to be inclusive? If you are a small company or you're a startup or you're just starting to think of launching your business, do you think, you can include everyone? Is it possible to do that? My opinion for that would be yes. It is never too late to be inclusive, so start early. The earlier, the better. So I'm going to share a little bit about DE&I, that is diversity, equity, and inclusion. Diversity, what does it mean? It means to have diverse ideas in your team. Do reflect today when we are done with this workshop, or even right now. Are you cloning yourself? Are you picking out people in your organization who are similar to you? Are you genuinely looking at CVs or profiles? Or, earlier in the poll, we heard that you were getting referrals from family and friends. So people would be somewhat similar to you. People you are getting from the word of mouth. So they would be people either culturally together, or they're from your same nationality. Maybe you've grown up together. Maybe, them from college or university because they are of your country. Are you selecting people because you think they are similar to you? I want you to think about it. Why? Because if you are hiring or if you're including people like yourself, there is no diversity. There is no diverse ideas. I was looking at the chat before, and you wanted people to be creative, to have those ideas. And creativity and ideas come in together when the perspectives are different. There was a study that was done in a university that showed that they hired 2 scientists. from the same educational background, they went to the same universities, but when they used to solve problems, they had completely different thought process of solving that problem, and the results were completely different. Why? Because those scientists were culturally very different. They grew up in different places. They had different exposure to their lives. So coming in from different perspective is something that will help your business to grow, to have your services reach out to more people when there are diverse ideas and thoughts inside the team. I'm going to talk a little bit about equity now. There was this blog post that I read, and it shared or it explained equity so good. Let's say there are 3 people going to come to a session, and you asked one of them to be hungry for a week. The other one had a sandwich for 2 nights in a row. And one person out of those 3 people had meals all over. Now, when they're coming to the session and you are offering them sandwiches, will you offer them same sandwiches? Do keep in mind, 3 people, one who's been hungry for a week, one who's had 2 meals in the last week, and one who's had all the meals during that week. Now you're providing sandwiches for this session. Equity would be you give the maximum amount of sandwiches to the person you asked to be hungry the whole week. You give less to the person who's had 2 meals, and you give none for the person who's had full meals around the week. That is equity. This is also the resource building or the training that you're going to provide to your employees. Think of it this way, that if you are not thinking of hiring minorities to be inclusive, I'm not saying people of determination here. I'm saying minorities who come from maybe 3rd world countries. Maybe they are racially minor. Maybe they are religiously minor. So if you want to have that equity, you have to make sure that you are bringing them to the table with yourself, providing equitable resources for them. Don't give sandwich to the person with the full stomach. They are not going to be appreciative of it. They don't need it. Give to the one that requires it the most. Then I'm going to talk about inclusion. You know, as business owners, I'm sure, you know, Hafsa is the founder and she has the business. She is very passionate about what she's doing because she started it. She has a vision, she has a goal. I'm sure a lot of you are entrepreneurs, a lot of you are solopreneurs with no co-founders with yourself, and you will have that passion, that drive, but you cannot expect all your employees to have similar drives because it is not their business, it is yours. You cannot expect every single of your employee to have same drive, same 100% go do it sort of an attitude, because it is not possible. You would be expecting too much of your employees. And for you to make them inclusive, you have to, the thing of inclusion is they feel like they belong. That belonging or that inclusion is something that you will open up when you let go of the notion, okay, this is my business, I'm passionate about it. My team will not be working in the same capacity like I do. I saw in the chat someone saying that, you know, I'm a founder and I do all of those things, all of the responsibilities on my own. Should I hire a management manager for this? Maybe you need to carve out time to understand, okay, I'm going to make sure that from my 24 hours in a day, if I'm giving my business, let's say 12 hours as a business owner, I should remove 2 hours to understand where are my employees at? What are they doing currently? If I have shared a task with them, am I sharing it with clarity? You know, being clear is so important because sometimes we feel like, oh, they should know, or she'll do it, or he'll do it. They should know, I'm sure, you know, I've sent the brief and they'll get the task done. Are you making sure that you are actually being verbally or in your written communication very transparent and clear? Are you telling them that when you're reading this task, do read it from my perspective, maybe as a founder, because this is what I expect you to do? If you're thinking of the ways that you are making sure that you are including people, making sure they are belonging. So that is how, I would suggest you to think of things that are making people or your employees inclusive. Now, disability inclusion goals are something that you'd set up for your own self, you'd set up for your own organization. Every one of you may have a business, you may have a product or service that you are working very hard on. Or, 7 days a week, you must be working very hard on your service or product. I'm not asking you to maybe employ people of determination from the get-go. You could think on it. But is your product or service catering to people of determination? Or are you excluding that world's largest minority, that is people with disabilities in this world? Is your service or is your product excluding them completely? Do you really think, are you thinking of, okay, I'm putting out social media today, am I adding captions to it? Because there will be people who are deaf, and right now I don't have means to provide sign language in my videos, but I can at least add captions. Are you thinking of, oh, okay, I have this amazing product, I'm packaging it in a way where someone with one hand cannot open it? Or can you as person who doesn't have a vision, or if your product is going to someone who doesn't have a vision, can they access it? Does it have a scanning machine or scanning barcode which a person can read to understand what the product is? So thinking of your product being catering to people of determination is also something I'd recommend you to keep in mind. Not everything is expensive, If you put your mind to it to understand inclusion, Google can be your best friend, and you can look up things that can fit into your budgets. Now, on the second point of 90% high productivity that you see on screen, there was a study made a few years ago where they assessed 30 employees in an organization. And they saw that people with disabilities were being held or were working in the organization 2 years more than people without disabilities. And their input or their productivity was 40% higher than people without disabilities. So it was not just the organization making sure that people felt included. It was also people of determination, people with disabilities being highly productive. If given proper accommodations at workplace, not all accommodations are expensive again, but if given proper accommodations at workplace, people of determination can prove that they're worthy of the opportunity given to them. Now, the third point on the slide here says embracing differences. I'm going back to the diversity factor that I shared about. When you have different people, of course, there will be different thought processes. Even in, let alone work, even in our families, we can't agree to watch what we want to see on Netflix, right? So there will be difference of opinions. There will be differences in our thought processes, but we have to embrace it together as teams, because the goal there would be to achieve the best for the business. And maybe with your diverse group of employees, those thoughts, when they're coming in, they will be creative, they will be something that you haven't thought about, but to embrace it and to think on how to execute it. Like Hafsa said, that execution will make you stand apart than your competitors. So that is something I'd like you to think about. The fourth point here is making meetings inclusive, engaging, welcoming unique ideas. This is again to include people, not just people of determination, but people in your organization. Sometimes we choose to do activities, or you as a business owner may choose to do activities which you feel are engaging and welcoming. But taking in input from your team members of what they like to do together is something that you can also choose to do. Ensuring that everyone feels that they belong in the company is very important, because when we come to work, or when we are putting down 8 to 9 hours in an organization, giving our 100% maybe on some days, we want that safe space to share our ideas. We want that safe space to not come into the workplace thinking of what is this person going to say, or how am I going to react to their thoughts, or what am I going to say when this person brings in their comments. So if there are things that are making your team uncomfortable, are you addressing them? Are you making sure that everyone in your office space is feeling like they are belonging to that place? I just hope these things are clearer for you, and there was a flow in what I shared with you, but feel free to add your comments or questions in the comments. Hafsa, I'm going to ask you to move to second one. Okay, this is the poll. It says, do you know any people of determination as your friends and family? Maya, over to you.
Thank you so much, Saira. Actually, I just launched the poll. We want to get to know more from you if you have any people of determination within your family, friends, or close circle, yes or no. And you find that these abilities are visible when you see someone, you can directly identify if they are people of determination, if yes or no as well. And another question is really if someone has the right competencies or they are really highly coachable, they can have this, I would say, coaching effect, or we can just like having this attitude to learn more. Should being a person of determination a factor that leave them out from hiring them? Do you think that this is possible, or maybe we need to work on our self-reflection to think more about it, how to integrate them and include them in our choices? While having them, all the audience responding to the poll, Saira, I have one question, and I have seen a lot of comment, and they were getting inspired from diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the self-learning that you were talking about, and they were asking if you have any books to recommend so they can just be like you, really believing genuinely in this purpose.
I may share with you a few names. I don't have on top of my mind, but I'll share a few names for you after we are done with this workshop.
Excellent. We're going to share it in the email when we send the recording link. So as for the poll, we see like 79% who are attending today, having people of determination in their close circle. 79%, luckily you have the same number. Second, they can identify directly when looking at the person if they're having kind of disability, I would say, within themselves. And if we look at a person with determination, are we able to really, like they're saying that this being people of determination can really, I would say, leave them out from being hired. So the majority said 65% no, that's amazing. 16 said this is maybe one of, let's just to be realistic, and 19% they said can be kind of factor for not considering them as part of the talent to be hired. This topic needs a lot of awareness, and we know that everyone's like it's a long journey, and having people of it's government, I would say the government is having the objective and the vision and to include everyone in this. But when we start building this infrastructure to be more accessible to everyone by having a lot of trainings and also providing those facilities for everyone, I think it would be easier for founders and for entrepreneurs to understand more the needs to include people of determination in their talents. Okay, now I'll move again to you, Saira, to continue the discussion.
I would like to bust a few myths maybe on this poll. So people here said that, do you find that disabilities are visible? And when you see someone, you can identify if they're people of determination. Yes, if you see me in a wheelchair, you'll be able to know that, I'm a person of determination. But there are things that are called invisible disabilities. People who are on the spectrum of disability, people who are on the spectrum of autism, people who are deaf, who are non-speaking, people who may be living with ADHD or other intellectual disabilities. You can't look at them and say, oh, this is autistic person, or you can't say that, oh, this could be a deaf person. That is not possible for you to do unless they share it with you. So again, going back to the point when I said that you make a safe space for people who would like to who would like to, share about themselves, you as an employee, or you when you're trying to hire someone, you putting it out there that you will not discriminate and you are happy to provide them resources or accommodations that they may require at workplace, will allow people with disabilities to share about their disabilities. Again, I just saw in the chat that Elon Musk said that he didn't want anyone to know that he was autistic because it comes with stigma. If I was to work from home and nobody saw the low down part of me, and you just see what you're looking at me right now, I don't need to, tell people that I use a wheelchair. But if I require to go to an office, I would need to tell you that, I need a ramp. So that stigma persists in people's minds. That stigma or the bias that persists in people's mind is something that we are going to talk further about.
Very important, actually, note, Saira, because sometimes we really have those stereotypes about looking at people and just identifying physical disabilities, and this would be like kind of hindering for us to go further. Well, and as you said, sometimes we meet people that are fully physically in shape, but they're having a lot of disabilities mentally, and they're where we want to give them support. And so having this physical doesn't mean that we treat everyone the same way.
Absolutely. Hafsa, I'll need you to go to the second slide, please. The next one. Okay, so the talent, what are they expecting from you today? I, as an employee in an organization, would want very clear communication. Are you planning ahead for the year? I know as entrepreneurs, again, sometimes when opportunities come in, they rain, right? They come in all together, and maybe you don't have capacity to have clear communication when you even don't know what's going to come up. So set timelines or set a calendar for your team members ahead of the time. Maybe in January, you plan what is going to happen, the events that you are going to plan for your team members or employees. What are the milestones that you want to achieve as an organization? Be clear in your communication from the beginning. Sometimes as employees, we are expected to show up on weekends. Sometimes we are expected to work more because there is something of a product launch that's happening, or there is a new service that's going to launch. And it's very last minute when it comes to communication. So if you want to avoid stress for your employees and make them to work 100% without stress, so be clear in the communication of what is expected of them and maybe share it ahead of time. Then we are going to talk a little bit about incentives. Now, incentives cannot be a bottle of water with your logo on it. It cannot be. That will not incentivize, or that will not motivate your colleagues, your team members to be better at a workplace. Incentives are clearly financial incentives that you need to provide to your employees as business owners. You may have a policy of gift making or gift sharing, but incentives is something that, as Hafsa mentioned earlier, you go milestone by milestone maybe, or you make them. We saw a lot of people were looking for people in the sales department. So you incentivize when they are bringing in leads to motivate them. Commission is of course completely different, but incentivizing them on basis of the education that you want them to achieve is something that you can look into as well. Now, sometimes when it's a startup, you're starting your own business, you've gone in year, 2 year, 3 year, and you find that attrition or retaining people is something that you can't do. People are leaving a certain department, or people are leaving a certain role. Quite often you have to keep hiring again and again. Or if there is a freelancer that was working on your project, and you have to keep looking for different people because you're constantly getting no's, or people leaving that spot again and again. There could be a possible problem of a policy. There is no communication between departments. There is no communication or clarity between colleagues in that certain department. Let's say, for example, let's say marketing and comms had 2 people, and one person, you have to keep them changing again and again. Are your policies clear? Are your team members reading the policies that you are giving to them very clearly? Are you maybe make out time in your week to sit with them and to read, to go through it with them on a call, on in person, online, and telling them to ask you questions is something that you can look into. I'm sure, not every one of you as entrepreneurs or solopreneurs may have the capacity or even correct information how to create policies. Maybe you can hire consultants to do this for you. Hiring people to create policies for you from the get-go is going to help your business in the long run. So having clear policies about leaves, about if there are going to be incentives, if you require people to educate themselves or develop themselves during their period in your organization, is something that you need to put it on paper and share it with your teams ahead. Human-centric leadership. I don't want to follow a robot as my leader, do I? Nobody wants to do that. Someone who you can have a conversation with, someone who can show their vulnerable self to you. Yes, leader at the end of the day is a human as well. So if the leader shows, or if you as a leader shows the human side of you to your employees, it will open up, again, create that safe space for your employees to interact with you more. Are you having one-on-ones with the people that you're working on? Are you taking lunch together, maybe discussing things that you want to achieve together as an organization, not just as an organization, but as maybe colleagues in the workplace? Are you talking about it? What are you envisioning to develop yourself as? Are you sitting down, cup of coffee, maybe if not lunch? Are you opening up that space as a leader for your employees to come and speak to you? That leadership will come in and support your employees so much that you will have someone who you can look up to, who you can talk to, who you can go to when there are days when your employee may feel like, I'm not feeling 100%, and you may not then rely on them, because you now know that this person is not right now 100% at the capacity, and you may then provide them resources. Maybe they are struggling with the mental health. So providing them that safe space to talk as a human leader will allow them to have that conversation with you. Reward systems are completely different than incentives. Reward systems can be, Maslow's hierarchy of needs of humans. You can think of doing that for your employees, understanding what takes your employees when they are in the organization is something that you can provide as reward. Does your employee likes good coffee? Provide them with coffee beans, 6 months or 3 months subscription of a coffee bean subscription that they'd like. These reward systems will be different to person, and you as a leader should know or try to know about it, and maybe reward them time to time just to keep them motivated. And again, we come back to the belonging part of your organization. They will feel that they belong when the leader knows what ticks their needs and they are being rewarded for it. Then recognition or social media. So this is something that I'm Inclusive does quite often. We celebrate, like Hafsa said, the achievements of the team. And, we do post them sometimes on social media as well. And all of us are so ingrained in what we do every single day that sometimes our families don't know or friends don't know what we achieve. And doing this for your employees on social media, it will be a proud moment. Sometimes for me, it's cringe that I have to look at myself, but it could be a very proud moment for people to show it to their family and friends that, see my organization. Maybe, your family doesn't know a lot of what you do, but you can show them, and you can show them that this is what I've achieved in my organization, and that is how I've been rewarded. Mental health awareness is something that post-COVID people have understood that it's something to look at. It was not like it was not existing before COVID, but post-COVID things have changed so much that people are more aware of it. To talk about mental health is now at a stage of it where the stigma is getting reduced. I hope that it comes to people of determination too one day, where people are more aware of people with disabilities as well. But mental health awareness is for everyone. Every single human being has a capacity to be mentally active. And when they will have, maybe they may have days when they don't want to work, and maybe your employees are going through those days. So you as if your resources doesn't allow a lot of activities, maybe having that awareness through an email, letting your employees know that your mental health is very important for us, and to flag it for us if you think that you require any support. Making sure that all of these are clearly communicated, again, is something I would highly recommend. And the last point is work-life balance, that as entrepreneurs, I'm sure a lot of you may struggle with. Work-life balance looks completely different from person to person. And I would highly recommend you to speak about it with your friends and family as well, because the life part of it are your friends and families who can help you with it more than your colleagues at workplace to tell you that we don't see you a lot, or when you are with us we don't get you 100%, or your energy that we want from you, we're not getting it from you. So when they're flagging these things for you, make sure that you're listening to your friends and family as well. I am now going to give it back to Hafsa. I think we have a poll after this. Do we? Yes. Oh, yes. This is something that if you know about this, I would request you not to put down in the chat if you already know about this. But if you don't, I'm going to read out here what's written on the slide. It says a father and his son are involved in a car accident, but the father, the man, is injured at the scene. When they both arrive at the hospital and the boy is rushed into the operating theater, the surgeon pulls away and says, I can't operate on this boy. He's my son. Can you share with us, how can this be? How is it possible that the father being injured is not the one operating, but the surgeon here says, I can't operate on this boy? How is it possible? We are looking for your answers in the chat. Oh,
we start having actually questions, the answers. So
yes.
Actually, it is the mother.
It is. That was very quick. So even us as women, we have biases. We have biases about other women. We may have biases that, sometimes in our conversation, it happens to when I say us, I'm saying people of determination. It happens to us as well, that the bias factor comes in when people think that, oh, I don't think people of determination can do XYZ job, but they can. You just don't know the right people. You don't know the right talent. Similarly, it's the bias that you can't imagine or visualize a woman when you're thinking of a surgeon, a CEO, or a pilot. So this activity was purely to tell you that we as human beings develop unconscious bias when our brains are looking at a new thing. It only takes us 7 seconds to develop a bias. Only 7 seconds. And it's completely unconscious. What we cannot do is we cannot change our unconscious biases. But what we can do is understanding that this is an unconscious bias and then consciously taking steps to reduce it. If you have a bias regarding, we at I'm Inclusive do see this happening to us every day when our front-end developer sits in meeting. She's always asked, where's the developer? And she'll be like, I am the developer. So that bias is something that pertains today. And we also have it. So we need to consciously address that unconscious bias, that am I being biased about it? Is this my unconscious bias? Am I looking it from a perspective of being biased? And then addressing it, that I need to lose that. Okay, Hafsa, I'm going to pass this on to you from here.
Thank you so much, Saira. And I think really this is, we reached the conclusion of our session mostly. So actually over to you, Maya. Let us know if you have any questions in the chat. And I believe this is our closing poll.
Thank you so much, Hafsa. Actually, we are launching our latest poll, which is important for us to know, especially for those who have participated today, how knowledgeable you are now after the session about importance of having talent management, and what are the best practices in order to make them more inclusive and within our organization and team, as well as to what extent do you see that this workshop will help you in directly implementing those practices. I'm going to share with you the contact details of Hafsa in a bit, but I wanted to check if anyone else would have questions. Please, if you would like to raise them, we still have like around 5 to 10 to 6 minutes. If you would like to share with us, we're happy to do so. Questions, ask your feedback. Do we have any people of determination attending with us today, the sessions, and how do you think about it? So it is important that everyone fill in the poll. As we said earlier, like this is part of UN Women NAMA capacity building program, and having such kind of polls and evaluation at every workshop is important for us to really keep going on with our workshops to bring more others topics as well. Hafsa, if I may ask you as well, if you don't mind to stop sharing your screen so I can share mine with your contact detail, because we forgot it to include it in our master slides.
Oh, I had to end the poll to stop sharing. I'm so sorry.
Okay, let's wait. Let's wait for a few seconds. Just give them 1 minute to fill it in.
I think I accidentally already stopped it. I'm sorry about that.
No worries. They can always share in the chat as well if they want to do so. We're happy to. So any questions so far? I can't see any question from your side.
There was someone, Maya, who was asking where they can meet people of determination and how they can include them in the workplaces.
Actually, yes, I see them now coming. I don't know what happened. So I'd like to have the suggestion. So what was the question again? Sorry, Saira, I was like disturbed by the questions. So can you get it up again, the questions?
And it says, how do we go about meeting people of determination looking for a job to see how they can be included, if possible, in a hiring? It's by Archana Patel.
Over to you, maybe Hafsa, for
Yes. So I know that most times, even when we think about, okay, I want to include people with disabilities, we start wondering where do we actually see, why don't we see enough people of determination? And I think that's a very good question to ask. The thing is, around 2 years ago now, before the Special Olympics came to the UAE, and it was very heavily popular in the region, there was a huge stigma on people bringing people of determination to any places. And the other part of that is that because of the lack of accessibility of most buildings and infrastructures, sometimes it's even hard to hold events in places. But I can still highly recommend you to connect with us and to stay tuned to what we're doing. So some of the work that we're doing now has become very importantly about engaging the community. We engage caregivers of people of determination, parents, people of determination directly, people of determination siblings like myself. We host a lot of community workshops where you can come and meet people of determination. And most importantly, if anybody ever wants to volunteer and come and, sit with us and coach people of determination right before they go into their interview sessions, we always welcome support. Maya, I hope that it's okay that I'm sharing this very openly. We have 2 events coming up this November, one in Abu Dhabi and in Dubai, on the inclusion of people of determination, where all of our representatives and people will be there as well. So I know Maya will share my details with everyone, and that's absolutely okay. I hope that you connect with us to connect to the communities. We don't just work in the UAE, we work across Jordan, KSA, and now coming up in Egypt as well.
I'm going to add to Hafsa's point. I see a lot of you are from Jordan. What I'd suggest you to do, if you don't know where to find people of determination, I'd suggest you to look up the nearest special needs center and go interact with the students coming to that special needs centers, and maybe a LinkedIn post. If you want to hire people of determination, we can always support you, but do go and interact with the community near to you.
Thank you so much, ladies. Actually, I was having I don't know what happened with Zoom. It was crashed for a moment, so I lost you. I hope that everyone got you very well. I'm sharing Hafsa's actually contact details. I'm inclusive in more general, and I want to also take few from the comments that people are sharing. Thank you, Saira and Hafsa, for this specific topic. We really need more discussions and highlighting the rights, needs, and awareness of POD, people of determinations. My question is that, what is the best way to disclose the diagnosis of invisible conditions at work while protecting oneself from ignorant discriminations? Unfortunately, we need to think about it before saying it, and stigma from people who think they are the normal ones. So this is more
Saira, for sure.
If it's a workplace, of course, I'll tell you, Dubai has a CDA, Community Development Authority, has a guideline that you can read into the rights that you have as person with disability in Dubai. I would also recommend you to read about the rights you have as a person of determination in Abu Dhabi. So every emirate has its own. So I suggest you to read that first and foremost, and then read your company's policies. Is there anything that, or read in your DE&I? I'm sure the organization you work with will have policies that outlines if people of determination can get the support that they require at workplace. But I think, again, it comes to the safe space that the organization has created for you to openly share if you're a person of determination. I can't comment on the normal ones. People who think they are the normal ones, I can't comment on it because every situation is different, right? When you're interacting, or people surrounding you would be different, the situation would be different. So I can't comment on that. But as an employee of the organization, you will have your rights. As a resident of the country, you will have your rights. So I'd recommend you to read up on it. If you'd like to connect with us via LinkedIn at I'm Inclusive, we will share the relevant links for you to read about the rights you have in the UAE as person of determination.
That's true, Saira. We have already laws protecting all PODs from kind of discrimination in terms of direct discrimination. And I would like to maybe to bring this perspective to the questions. It's more when you apply for a job, it's just to be more aware of the situation and to communicate it clearly. It's not what do they think? It's not our problem. It's their problem. Is isn't it? So for us, it's more, we show how we can change the narrative in order to show them what's the value we're bringing in. And I'm sure when we highlight the value we're bringing, there will be just different talk. So, and from the others, the founders who are here with us and the entrepreneurs who are today with us, I really encourage you to take all of those questions that we had today to self-reflect about how we can be. Now, I know that everyone has a limitation within the short objectives, but let us think about long-term sustainability. And would we, for our organization, would we need to have more sustainability indicators for us and targets by including others people and just working into having a decent work atmosphere for everyone? This is what I would like to leave you with. Thank you so much, Hafsa, Saira, and all inclusive team, Viva as well for the sign interpretation, as well as for really bringing this purpose and value to everyone's in the organization. I can just want to share with you that you've been amazing in our Meet the Buyer events, and all the corporates who was listening to you, were listening to your purpose and the value that you're bringing to the marketplace. We're really impressed. Thank you so much for all your efforts.
Excuse me, Maya, if you allow me, sorry to say some words, some appreciation words actually. We are really thrilled and very happy to have hosted you, Viba, Hafsa, Saira. Actually, it's the first time since like 2 years we've been giving these workshops. It's the first time we tackle this topic, and it's really important, and we loved your intervention and your support and your guidance, especially the live interpretation, and hopefully we will think of integrating in other events as well, because it is really very important. We're very happy we have met you, and we know that you are there to support women in determination, and hopefully we will be collaborating on future initiatives. Thanks so much. And please let us know how we can also support further. Thank you.
Hafsa, do you want to say a last word before we close?
Yes, I would love to conclude this session with the fact that all of us are in a different position and journeys in our life. And even the people of determination who are attending, I know invisible disabilities is such a sensitive topic. We're here as people, we have a vision where in this region, in MENA at least, there will be a time when no person of determination would be left without an opportunity because of I'm inclusive. That's our goal. And so if you're a person of determination here or an employer and you want to build this community together, like the step that NAMA program and UN Women took today of just bringing us here and getting the opportunity to speak to all of you through a platform, you have the power of creating these platforms. So connect with us. And we always say this, whoever becomes a part of our journey, they never leave us. And for us with UN Women, this started at the Expo in Dubai, where they gave the opportunity to everyone to come and talk about what they do. And it was truly life-changing. So thank you to the UN Women and NAMA Women team for making this platform today for all of us to come here. And I'm really, really thankful for this opportunity.
Thank you so much. And I wish you a great day ahead. Thank you. And looking forward for other workshops as well. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Saira.